DJ Elle,
DiBiase.
how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing real good, real good. Definitely excited to have you for No Request TV.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. Just want to get started with your beginnings, even prior to becoming a DJ, just your relationship with music. Like growing up in the house, maybe Saturdays having to clean or whatever the case may be. Where are you and what is being played by your parents in the house?
All right. So I remember in the basement of my house, there was a record player. So there would be different records, like 45s. I remember like super old school record player with like a stereo system. It was basically like a gym in the basement. No one really went in the basement. Sometimes like there'd be people in the basement. I would be in the basement a lot hanging out, but there was a record player with a bunch of records. I remember Otis Redding, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was always being played.
Hmm.
Billy Joel, always, I remember. And then like other records like that, but then I remember my mother being a humongous Led Zeppelin fan,
Mm.
and I had no idea what Led Zeppelin was. I thought it was just old people music. I remember when she bought the Led Zeppelin box set, and I was just like, ugh, this is terrible. Like, what is this? This is the worst. And then many, many, many years later, I'm DJing and playing Led Zeppelin, and it was a whole education that I feel like my mom put me on to, but I didn't get into until later on. So all different types of music, definitely.
Okay, so that's a lot of your parents or your mom's influence on you. About what age did you really start getting your own flavor as far as the type of music that you liked?
So I remember listening to the radio a lot, and
And where are we too?
we're in New York,
Okay.
in Long Island, between like right on the border of Queens and Nassau County. So literally from my high school, I could see JFK Airport. Growing up, we would hang out at JFK Airport. This was before 9/11, so it was like pretty open. You could do whatever you wanted. But yeah, basically right there, it was like Queens, Far Rockaway, Lawrence, Five Towns, Nassau County. So that's where I was during all of this. I remember the first CDs that I bought was Janet Jackson. I forget the album. And then also I remember I bought the K7 single Come Baby Come, which at the time I had no idea what that song meant. I remember I had like my little sound system in my room, like a little stereo system. And I remember I brought my parents into the room and I'm like, listen to this song. This is the best song ever. And it's like K7, come baby, come baby. And like my parents were like, what the hell? But I'm just like so young. I have no idea what this song is. And then I remember like Positive K later and like being able to rap the whole entire Positive K song, I Got a Man.
And then also you were saying the radio. So what stations were you listening to?
I guess I was listening to like hip hop stuff because I was buying like K7 and Janet Jackson. So
So Hot 97.
I want to say it was Hot 97, but I don't know if it was Hot 97 yet.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's like Hot 97, Z100. But yeah, that type of stuff. I started like getting into hip hop, and then I ended up going alternative. So then I got into like Operation Ivy, Rancid, Green Day before anyone knew who Green Day was. And then I got into like the whole rave scene, and it was just like all drum and bass, house music, like Frankie Bones, anything like drum and bass, like Al Boogie, which was like a New York like 89.9 drum and bass music station, radio station. But they would only be on from like very late at night, and you had to record it.
So this was like going to like high school, getting into the
This
radio.
is like middle school to high school. Like
Okay.
15 is when like all the drum and bass crazy raver stuff started happening, and that's how I ended up getting into DJing.
Okay, so in high school, pretty much you got into the rave scene
Yes.
in New York.
Yes. But it was I was like going to raves, but it started as going to drum and bass parties. So I was going to like Concrete Jungle on Coney Island High, at Coney Island High on St. Mark Street, which Coney Island High was like a major venue back in the day for like punk rock shows, but they did a drum and bass party there every Monday night, and that's where it started. And then I was going to raves, but I would always be like in the drum and bass room, just getting crazy.
What was the club scene or rave scene like in New York? What year are we talking about at this point?
95, 96, 97.
Okay, so what was that like? Mid '90s, you know, when New York, when you talk about New York, when New York was New York.
It was awesome. It was honestly the best time of my life growing up in New York, going to those parties, and nothing since that has ever really compared to any of that. And I don't know if it was because I was so young and it was so fresh, or because it was like more open. Bottle service, like tables, like VIP stuff, like none of that really existed back then.
Right.
So it was kind of like everyone was like together.
All for the music, the love of music.
Yeah, like even at Tunnel on Sunday nights, I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but like there wasn't even bottle service there. People were just drinking bottles with a straw in it.
Okay, we're definitely going to get to that era right there. What kind of jobs were you working like in your high school time or?
So during my high school time, my mom was a really big real estate broker in New York. She was just like, she was obsessed. She was major. She was just like motivational speaker. Just, she had like 40 people working for her, which was probably why I was like going to raves when I was 15, because like no one was ever around. So I ended up working for my mom after school. I would like be her secretary or like help her with computer stuff. Yeah, that was like the only job I really remember having, but it was serious. Like I had to be there. It wasn't like, oh, I worked for my mom. Like she made me be there. And then when I was 17, I went to college, and then I ended up getting my first job at 17 at the Tunnel.
Okay, so is DJing in your life when you go to college?
So DJing started, like, I remember my friends when I was in high school having turntables and just like messing around. Like people had records and turntables. Like my neighbor across the street bought turntables, and I wasn't into DJing. I didn't think I was ever going to be a DJ. I would just like hang out and like watch them trying to DJ and like mix records and stuff. And I didn't ever think that I was going to be a DJ. It's kind of crazy that it happened. When I think back to that, because I just started buying records. Like I just liked buying records. I would like go to the record stores, and then I had so many records that I just had to get turntables at that point. And then I had fun once I did get the turntables. I spent my bat mitzvah money, bought 2 brand new Technique turntables and like a little tiny Vestax mixer. My parents thought I was crazy. I remember the turntables arrived at my house, and my parents are like, "What are you doing? No one plays records. Like, people are playing CDs." Like, they just thought that I was so crazy. And I was like, "Don't worry, I spent my own money. Don't worry about it." And then it wasn't until years later that my mom was like, "It was my idea. I told her to get this." I'm like, "What?
Of course.
No."